They're giving me a thumbs up now. Welcome to Concerts for a Cause. I'm Amy Voynich. I've been a member of the Kirk for a long time. I'm an elder and a Stephen minister, and I have a lot of fun with Larry as we do these concerts. And I think you're in for a treat today. A few housekeeping issues for those of you who are first timers. If you have to go to the bathroom, go back out into the narthex, go to the left. Go through the doors. There's a little cutout for the women's restroom, but if you walk straight, you can go to the men's bathroom. If you get lost, just flag somebody down. There will be a reception after the concert outside. Just feel free to come and have some snacks, and you'll get to meet the artist, which I think you'll find very interesting. I don't think this is going to be a problem today, but if the sun comes through, we're pretty casual here. Just move somewhere else so that you're not getting incinerated by it. About halfway through the concert, you're going to get to hear from the founder regarding the cause for this concert, Guitarists for Good. So I think that it's a really interesting cause, I think. Not like we have bad causes, but it's a good one, and it's different. A few people have asked how to make a donation. There's a basket right at the back before you exit. We take cash, we take checks. If you want to make a credit card donation, you can do that online at the Kirk's website. If you're going to do a check, make sure it's got your address on it, and you can just drop it in the basket. If you want to do cash, then there are pew envelopes. They're kind of like manila in color. Just pull one of those out, put your cash in it, put your full name and your full address in legible handwriting, please. And then sometime next year, before tax season ends, you will get a statement because this is a nonprofit. And then let's see, silence your cell phones, please. We would all appreciate it. And then last but not least, we are very grateful you are here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Thank you for being here today. So that was by William Boyce, and while the guitar and the trumpet is getting set up, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about William Boyce, who you just heard. A date that will mean something to you. He was baptized, I found this interesting, he was baptized on September 11th, 1711. He was an English composer. He was a choir boy at St. Paul's Cathedral. How many of you have been to St. Paul's Cathedral? A lot of you have. So he was there. Then later he became the organist as an adult at St. Paul's Cathedral. And the king later appointed him as the king's musician, King George III and Queen Charlotte. That voluntary that you just heard was written originally for organ and a stop on the organ, the trumpet stop. Some friends took it and turned it into an organ piece. This next work is by Mel Bay. William Bay, he's the son of Mel Bay, who is, many of you are trumpet students. I know Tyler said some of the store students are here today. Some parents are here. Welcome. William Bay, if you've got a trumpet player, a violin student, or whatever, that's all the theory books that these kids come from. And so they took this. When I talked to Tyler, I said, let's do a trumpet and organ concert. And then Tom came to me and said, I've got a great cause for guitars. So Tyler and I talked. I said, I know it's an odd combination. You don't hear about it a lot, trumpet, organ, and guitar. Tyler started researching, and we actually found more out there than you would think for this combination. So we've had a lot of fun putting this program together. So guys, William Bay. So this next piece is for solo guitars, so we can feature all the instruments today. I'm going to ask Marcelo. I heard him in rehearsal about 2 weeks ago, and I said, tell me about this piece. And he did. And I said, you know, the audience would really enjoy knowing about this piece and where it's coming from. But first, Marcelo, in 1.5 minutes, tell us all about you.
I come from the same place where my accent comes from, Rio de Janeiro. But I married my beautiful wife, Zina, 30 years ago here in Raleigh. She was born in Raleigh, although she's a daughter of Brazilian parents. And Elio Delmiro, the composer of this song that I'm playing, passed away June 16th, last June 16th. He was a great acoustic, classical, jazz guitarist all over. So this has got tribute to him. It's a slow, beautiful waltz called Emotional. It was a series of pieces of his in around 1980 called Emotional 1, 2. I'll play the first one. And I came to Raleigh because I fell in love with Zina in Rio, and she convinced me to come. We lived 5 years here. We moved back to Brazil, spent 20 great years there, and raised our sons there. Both are here, both are musicians. Both are graduating next year, one in Chicago, one over UNC Asheville. A jazz pianist and pop composer and engineer. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's definitely a challenge to read classical guitar dense as this, but because I've been playing more jazz and popular music. But thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it. Documentary. There's a great documentary about Tom Jobim, for those of you that are familiar with the name, Antonio Carlos Jobim. He is still the great door to Brazilian instrumental music of high quality. And there's a documentary called Jobim and then Tom and Elise, Elise e Tom, about the making of an album in 1974. Elio Delmiro is all over the album, became a reference. Elise, E-L-I-S, and Tom, T-O-M. Great documentary.
So the next composer, George Philip Telemann. Unfortunately, he was born at about the same time as two other German composers who we really know, and he got overshadowed by both of them. Do you know who they are? Bach and Handel. Bach and Handel. He was born 4 years before Bach, so they were contemporaries. He certainly knew Bach. He was good friends with Handel, even though Bach and Handel never met. Telemann was the glue between the two. Telemann was born in Eisenach, same place that Bach was born in. He also became the godfather to Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, which is one of Bach's sons. So this next piece, the trumpet concerto, of course, was written for trumpet and chamber orchestra. But when Tyler went to Marcelo and said, would you be interested in doing this? What could we do together? Marcelo suggested this, and he's arranged it for guitar and trumpet. So the Telemann Trumpet Concerto, the Adagio. Thank you, Marcelo. So this calls, we're going to see a short 3-minute video, if you'll turn your attention to the screen. And then Miss Green, who founded this calls here in Raleigh a few years ago, is going to come forward and I'll introduce you. But here's a video that she and Tom have put together with some of the people who have made use of the guitars, and will explain what this calls is all about.
One, two, three. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird.
Do you have a passion? Mine's always been volunteering. It started with helping my dad at the gas station, Girl Scouts, the Jerry Lewis Telethon, and later serving on the board of the Mental Health Association. I was a big sister with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I was even a Make-A-Wish wish granter. Giving back gave me purpose and connection. But in 2015, something shifted. I picked up a guitar for the very first time, and the moment I began to play, I noticed the way it changed my brain. My sadness, my loneliness, my stress, all of it lifted, even just for a while. Music reached a part of me that nothing else could. That was the moment my two passions collided, volunteerism and music. As I played, I began to think about people who didn't have this opportunity, especially homeless musicians who no longer had their instruments. I imagined how hard it would be to lose not just shelter, but also the very tool that gave you expression, dignity, and joy, and calmed the chaos on your mind. And that thought sparked an idea. What if I could help put instruments back into their hands? That's how Guitarists for Good was born. We started small, donating a couple of guitars to a youth shelter, and have since grown large enough to give guitars to organizations that serve people experiencing homelessness, survivors of human trafficking, veterans, people in recovery, and others who need healing and hope. Today, we've placed hundreds of instruments into the hands of people across dozens of states. What began as my personal collision of two passions has turned into a movement, one where compassion and music come together to heal, empower, and inspire. So I'll leave you with this. Do you have a passion? And what might happen if you let it collide with another? Because sometimes when passions collide, entire lives are changed. Is this working? I'm Sandy Green with Guitarists for Good, and I'm incredibly grateful to have been chosen this year's nonprofit recipient for Concerts for a Cause. Thanks, Tom, wherever you are. The folks on that video playing Morning Has Broken, they're my buddies. They've inspired me since the very beginning to keep pushing forward and building this organization. And it truly motivates me every time I see smiles on the faces of the recipients, knowing that I started Guitarists for Good over at my old apartment behind Cup of Joe on Hillsborough Street, and continue running this organization from my kitchen table over in North Raleigh. To date, we've given over 800 instruments with 40 on the way, and our reach is 37 states. Oh, and some of those instruments go to shelters that serve homeless youth. And when a child finds inspiration in an instrument, I always tell the shelter staff to just let them take it with them wherever they're going, if they're going to foster care or back home, because it just doesn't matter. It serves as a coping mechanism, and we'll send the organization another guitar to replace it. I can't thank you enough for helping us grow this mission, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have later out in the lobby. You guys ready to play some music? All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sort of reminds me of the sermon we heard this morning about listening and paying attention and what can happen when you hear that small voice and inspire you to do something. All this from a kitchen table in 2016, 2015. Tyler, come and tell us a little about Bandhanaj. So the next piece is with piano and guitar, is that right? Yeah, and Dr. Moon Choi is the pianist for this. He is our organist here at the Kirk. And when Tyler came to me and we sort of said, oh, we're going to do this concert, I said, that's fine, but I can't play everything. So Moon, you have to play at least one piece. So this is his piece. All right, tell us about it.
Yes. So very briefly, Eugene Botza is a composer, a violinist, pianist from the early 20th century, born prior to the 20th century and lived until about 1991. A French musician from the Paris Conservatoire. To us classical musicians, especially here in the States, mostly well known for the chamber music of solo instrument for winds, anywhere from trumpet to the woodwinds, violin especially, known overseas for a lot of his major works in both like orchestra and opera and such. The badinage being one of them. Later on in his life, one of the pieces of repertoire that is pretty standard in the trumpet literature, along with a couple of others.
So Tyler, there's 4 trumpets there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the trumpets and why you get to play 4 and have to carry 4 around all the time?
Sometimes I don't need to. So I'll go with the one in my hand, B flat trumpet. This is the common trumpet for most beginners that they start out with. B flat being the key that this trumpet plays in. The other trumpet that I played previously is a C trumpet, so it's in a different key. Between the two, it's a matter of preference for the musician. Commonly, the B flat instrument is seen mostly in wind ensembles, jazz bands, jazz combos, some solo pieces. C trumpet also with solo pieces, commonly found in orchestras, a primary choice of instrument for also church music to be able to easily play along with a piano or some other keyboard. I have a flugelhorn here, an instrument that you would more often find also in the jazz idiom, though there are contemporary pieces such as the ones that was played earlier, where flugelhorn is of the quality that is better suited for the tone of the piece of music. And then the little guy, which you will get to hear a little bit later, that is a piccolo trumpet. Not one that maybe some folks are used to seeing, because typically a piccolo trumpet is also one that has valves like this. That one has rotors like you would find on a French horn. Usually the choice with the piccolo is for anything in the Baroque era, where the music was originally written up in a higher register that is more suited for a modern instrument like the piccolo trumpet. Can be found in other wind ensemble pieces as necessary. Again, a matter of setting of the tone. That's it, Larry.
So in 1927, George Gershwin found himself writing a musical Broadway called O-O-H-O-K, K-A-Y, the woman's name. So OK. This piece has now, as many of you know, has become a standard in the jazz literature. This particular arrangement was arranged in 1997 and has also become now a standard for trumpet. So hope you enjoy it. And for the final piece, the toccata. This piece was originally for organ and trumpet stop. Again, a friend of Mozart, a mentor to the young Mozart. So we're going back to, in that time, Italian person here, Martini, and Marie Claire Alain. In the 60s and 70s, she's a great French organist. She was a superstar. Has anyone heard, maybe you have or not heard of Anna Lapwood lately? She's a great organist now coming out of England. She is a rock star. She has brought the organ back to the forefront. So Marie Claire had much of her reputation. She would give concerts in Korea and have 6 concerts in a row, and each concert would have 2,000 people each. Can you imagine 10,000 people going to an organ concert? Heaven for me. So this is Martini, and you'll hear it's sort of the showstopper. And then as we conclude, I said, guys, it would be really nice to bring the guitar and the trumpet and the piano back. So just after the toccata, with your permission, we're going to do one more song with all 3 of us. And thank you for being here today. And the reception is out in the narthex, and thank you all for coming. decided to end a little quieter than that because after that, what more is there? Um, in light of the shootings last night in Southport, in light of the shootings this morning at the Mormon Church in Missouri, which, yeah, becomes a little much. And in light of everything else going on in the world and in America, we decided we would end with this particular song. You will know it. And you are invited to join the refrain as we get to it and sing along with us. And I hope it will give you some solace and some peace in this otherwise chaotic country that we find ourselves living in right now.